What's up, everybody, guys? Welcome to the first show, week zero college football, guys. This is actually my first time doing an even college football show, but you guys know we're always trying to get some cash, trying to make some money. As you also know, we're partnered with the Wager Talk, guys. I'm staring at the Wager Talk odds screen right now. I pretty much look at it all day, comparing different lines from 9 different books, guys, and it's free. I don't see why you wouldn't look at it, but without further more, we have an absolute legend on the show. He doesn't want to say he's a legend or admit it. This guy is a freaking legend, man. Welcome to the show, everybody in chat. Dave Cokin. What's up, Dave?
I'm the right age to be a legend. I'm in the 20-year AARP club now. That's scary.
Hey, but I'm sure you got a lot of years betting, a lot of knowledge, you're very wise, you know what I'm saying? So I look at the years as knowledge. That's how I look at it, and wisdom. So it segues to the next question here, Dave. First off, how long have you been betting college football, and any pointers for the beginners? Obviously, with sports betting being legalized now across most states, there's a lot of beginners that don't really know what they're doing. So, how long have you been betting college football? And any pointers for the newcomers?
I don't remember how long I've been in college football. The first bet I ever made was in 1961. I was 8, and I bet on a hockey team, and I bet $5, which for an 8-year-old in 1961 was a lot of money, and I lost the bet. Uh, that was the first lesson I learned: was don't bet on your favorite team because you're gonna get broken. You won't be able to buy candy or baseball cards until your next allowance comes. So I learned that lesson quickly, and that's where it begins. Don't bet with your heart ever. Just throw that out. The other thing is, and this is really is important, is treat it like a business. So in other words, let's say it's January 1st, and you're setting up your new year. Well, just talking the start of the season here. You put a bankroll together and you play percentage of bankroll. If it's something really strong, you might go as high as 5%, depending on the volume that you have. But your normal bets should be a lot smaller than that, and stick with it. Play that percentage of bankroll. You'll never go broke doing that, unless you're just absolutely awful. And uh, and the bankroll can build. And then at the end of the year, if you're ahead, take the money that you've won and go spend it on something that's fun. If it's a vacation or a car or whatever, have a good time with it. That's what this is all about.
I like that, and it really goes with all sports, not just college football as
Oh yeah.
well. So, main things that I got from it: watch out for your favorite team. And one thing, Dave, I just want to segue real quick: when your favorite team, pay attention to them because you can actually know when. Now, there is times where all right, my team's going to come to play here. They just got blown out or so and so, but you could also know when to bet against your team as well. So,
Sure.
I always say, don't bet against your heart, but if you do have a favorite team, just pay attention to them closely and know when to bet against them or bet on them. And I like what you said with the bankroll management as well. Put aside a bankroll. There's beginning of the season now. You don't have to, you can start out small as well. Obviously, in the beginning, we're kind of all still guessing. I don't care what sport it is starting, you're kind of guessing to start because there's going to be bad teams that are good at first and good teams that are bad at first. But I like what you said, bankroll management. 1 to 5% of your bankroll per play, and you could never go broke with that. Based unless you're just losing every single play, and at that point, you just need to stop.
Yeah,
You
I
just
mean,
need
if
to
it's
stop.
that bad, you take up another hobby. I don't know, take up
Exactly.
knitting or something like that. That's well, that's like a needle, so that I don't know how safe that is. But no, find something you're good at. And as far as colleges go, if you don't have time to do this on a pretty much a full time basis, just try and isolate a couple of conferences
Mhm.
that you're really familiar with and that you can get good news on. So for me, if I were just, I could do this 24 hours a day, but if I were just kind of a novice, I might concentrate on the Mountain West Conference because that's the local conference here, and you can really get in tune with what's happening with all the different teams in the conference. And knowledge is everything when it comes to sports betting. The more information you have, the better your chances of winning.
That's a really good point there. College, there's a ton of teams. It's not like the NBA, any professional sports. There's a ton of players. There's a ton of turnover as well, and a lot to keep up with, guys. So that's the last thing I'll say about that. I really like that you said that. Focus on one or maybe a couple of conferences. That's what I'm starting to do with the Big 12 as well. Ones that are close to you, you can see more of their games and follow their beat writers on Twitter as well. You can get a lot of info, guys. But enough of that, and I appreciate that appreciate your thoughts on that as well. And answering those questions, Dave. I really appreciate that. And I hope you guys in the chat like it as well. But let's go ahead and get to one of these games over here. There's been a little bit of movement on all three games that we're going to talk about today. But let's go to the first one here, Dave. Obviously, this game is in Ireland, isn't it? Right. So we got the Nebraska. They're laying 11 points here versus Northwestern, Dave. I know that they got smoked last year. Nebraska smoked them last year, but I'm not a big fan of the head coach for Nebraska. I know that he fired all the assistants, so it's on him now. But I would say that the Northwestern has the better coach, but they did have a lot of player turnover as well. They got one of those quarterbacks from Texas. I was sad to see him go, but they did get the quarterback from Texas, Dave. But how are you looking at this game, my brother?
Well, he wasn't going to play much of Texas anymore.
Yeah.
I agree with what you said on Scott Frost, the Nebraska coach. He's not exactly. He's a strange guy. Okay, I've got some good contacts in that program, and he's been described as an oddball. That's the word that they've used. I don't know that he's going to be there past this year unless they have a great season, and I don't think that's going to happen. As far as this game is concerned, Nebraska's the more talented team. I don't think there's much question about that. And they might have, even though the game's in Ireland, I'll give them a point for kind of a home neutral because they've sold about 25,000 tickets. So a lot of Nebraska fans are making the trip across the pond to Ireland. They're probably going to have the crowd. Northwestern, they don't even sell tickets in Evanston. So they'll be the underdog as far as the crowd's concerned. The problem with betting Nebraska is they've been such a mistake-prone team under Frost, and if it's a close game, they find a way to lose it on a consistent basis. I don't think there's a program in the country that's had more close losses than Nebraska in the past few years, and I don't know if that's a trend that's going to stop all of a sudden. Fitzgerald can outcoach Frost, and if this game's close late, I wouldn't be surprised if Nebraska pulls off the upset. But on paper, I think Nebraska's about 2 touchdowns better, so I maybe lean that way, but it's not a game I'm really interested in betting because I don't want to lay that many points with Nebraska. I just don't trust them.
Yeah, that's a good point there. And so I remember you said that they sold 20,000 tickets. The Nebraska did over there, even though this game is overseas, kind of sort of like a home game for them. They were laying 11, and last year's game where they won 56-7, they were laying 11 points in that game. Now they're going on the road here, still laying 11. So oddsmakers kind of giving them think that they're going to basically smack them up once again. That's how I look at it, Dave. So I did stay off this game as well. I also agree it's tough for me to lay 11 points with Nebraska, like you said. And with this being week 0, my thought process is, Coach, I'd like to go with the better coach team, right? Yeah. He's probably going to have his team ready to go more. They're catching points. So, but I don't like taking teams that has a ton of turnover as well. That's one thing I don't like to do. Maybe once they get used to playing with each other, get some camaraderie. But to start off the year, I do like to fade those teams. So it's a tough game for me, Dave. It's a tough one, man.
I have a guest.
Oh, what's up? Hey. When my dog comes, that's a cat, right? When my dog comes on, we cash tickets. It's a cat, right?
There you go. Say hello. Okay.
So the cat, maybe the cats are for the faves, and then the dogs are for the underdogs. So maybe the cat likes Nebraska.
He just likes food. That's it. For a small cat, I've never seen an animal this small who's more interested in food.
Right. Real quick, Dave, did you have any thoughts on a total of 52? We know Nebraska could possibly, they got a new offensive coordinator over there. Yep. They're likely going to try to put up some points here, but Northwestern kind of the opposite. They kind of like it to be a defensive slow type of game, right?
Yeah, although I think both teams might be a little better offensively than defensively. So might get some points here.
Okay. I definitely lean to the over. And I like to say those overseas games as well, they probably like for it to be an exciting game, whether it being a boring game. I could see more points there. I'd lean to the over. What do you say, Dave? Let's go to the streets of Champaign, Illinois here. We have Illinois here laying 14 points versus Wyoming here. This one's been steamed as well. I see these yeah, they opened up laying 9? It's been steamed all the way to 14, even a 14.5 showing up at South Point. Money coming in on Illinois here.
Yeah, some of it's mine at -10. I did bet this game. I wouldn't play it at this number, and this just speaks to value. You don't want to be laying 14 in a game that was 10 all week.
Mm-hmm.
You're begging to lose if you do that. One of the tricks of the trade is learning a feel for where the line's going to go.
Right.
And this is really important in the NFL, NBA, as you know. I mean, you want to be there when the market is indicating the odds are best for you to jump in. You don't want to, don't want to play beat up lines. As far as this matchup's concerned, Wyoming got absolutely killed in the transfer portal. Mm-hmm. They lost 3 of their best players who decided to go elsewhere. I think they're going to have a rough season. Craig Bill's a good coach, but he just doesn't have the material right now. Illinois is interesting because I don't know that it's going to show up in wins and losses. You know, they're in a really tough league, but they are improving. And I think what you're going to see here is a much different looking team in terms of style than we saw from Illinois last year. They brought in the offensive guy from UT San Antonio. Mm-hmm. So they're gonna push the tempo. Because if you watch that roadrunner offense last year, it was a roadrunner offense. Right. I mean, they moved the ball up and down the field. So even though I think it's going to be a running team with Illinois, because that's the style Bielema likes, I think they're going to play fast. And that, to me, is going to be trouble for Wyoming. They just don't have the experience on either side of the ball, but particularly on defense, to contain Illinois. And if that running game gets going for Illinois, it's going to be a long day for Wyoming. So I think Illinois wins this game fairly easily. But again, I really can't recommend it at -14 when I bet it at -10, and the -10 was out there all week. It started to move yesterday and then went nuts this morning. It went up 3 points this morning. So yeah, it's kind of like showing up at a party 3 hours after it began. You missed the best part.
Yeah, now you're everybody's on a different level than you are. But I just wanted to say real quick, guys, this college football is one thing I see with college sports football period. If you're liking something, you might want to do your homework early in the week. I know I'll try my best to try to do videos early in the week. If you're waiting to the day of, unless you're literally waiting for a line to get high for a certain threshold and maybe taking the underdog, most of the time you're in last place, man, because if there's something really good, the professional bettor is going to get on it and they're going to hit it. It's going to get out of whack quick with whether it's a total or a size. So that's just one thing I'd say. Try to do your work as early as possible in the week. But sometimes info comes later as well. But what do you think about that, Dave?
Well, I want to throw this out because I see this all the time. It's like follow the sharp action. Mm-hmm. It's not really a great idea. That's one of the myths that's out there. And here's why. The sharp action got the game, for instance, on this game, the sharp action got the game at -10.
Right.
You're not following sharp action if you take it at -14. The sharp action is good. It's only sharp if you can get the same line.
Exactly.
The sharp's got. And that's true in any sport. You just gotta be there before the market gets wise to what's going on. I know in some sports it's a little difficult. For instance, in the NBA.
Right.
Or the NHL, you kind of want to know who's playing. NHL, you want to know who's in goal. NBA, you want to know if your star players sitting out the game for load management or something. So you have to wait a little bit on those sports, but that's part of what's necessary is getting that information as soon as possible and then having your mind made up.
Exactly.
So that you can strike while the iron's hot, so to speak.
Yeah, that's facts right there. My guy in the chat, he's liking my guy GVO Dale's like in Wyoming team total under there. That doesn't sound like a bad look as well.
No,
We could see Illinois blowing them out, but what I see even more is Wyoming struggling here. We know last year they had their really good defense, even could score a few points as well, but they really leaned on their defense. This is one of those teams that, like you said, we have to worry about in college sports now, getting hit in the transfer portal. I want to stay away from those teams early season. It's not to say they can't figure it out during the season, but
sure.
to start off, I think it's a fade or I stay off the game. So I'd be leaning Illinois here as well.
Yeah, and the thing on Wyoming is, I think I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think they are the third lowest team in the country in terms of returning production. Mm-hmm. So they're breaking in a lot of new people. And their best guy from last year was running back Valladay. He's a heck of a player.
Right.
He's at Arizona State now. So, that's kind of what's happened to Wyoming is their best guys looked at greener pastures elsewhere, and you're going to see a lot of that. College basketball, it's going to be absolutely enormous. And it's an even bigger impact in college basketball because you're playing less guys, obviously.
Exactly.
So one or two players that you lose or gain can make a huge difference.
Yep, and they're going up against the big boys as well. Big Ten football. Like I say, if this one could get ugly pretty quick here. If they don't like say if Illinois scores and Wyoming punts or something, or it's a third and out, but it could get ugly pretty quick, man. So I lean Illinois here. I can see why the line is going up, but I'm with you. I'm not taking it at 14. If you could have got it at 10, Illinois here. This one could get ugly. I like my guy was saying in the chat, Dale, Wyoming team total under. I like that one, my brother. I like it.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think Wyoming's going to have trouble scoring points here, and as far as that total of 43 is concerned, I'd have to look at the under there because if you think Wyoming's not going to get many points, you think Illinois is going to get 30? I don't know about that. So that might make some sense too.
I like that. I might look deeper into that. I like that Wyoming team total. It makes a lot of sense to me, Dave. I like to go with the stuff that makes sense. Last game up here, we have, this one's getting steamed as well, guys. This line originally, obviously some of the openers are a little bit soft. The line opened up originally at 2.5. I saw it, when I saw it, my book opened up around -6, got hit up to 7, 7.5, 8. It's all the way up to 9.5 now, Dave. Now we know, I read to it, Hawaii, their coach, it seemed like he was mistreating the players or something like this. So it's a huge overhaul, right? So I know it's not a good spot. I know that Vandy is not the greatest team, but Hawaii knew everything basically over there, right? They used to have the big Samoan guys over there. Yep. I'm not sure how the team is gonna look now. Now they're going up against the SEC squad. Do you agree with the money coming on on Vandy, Dave?
Yeah, I guess I do. I don't really trust Vanderbilt. And from what I gather, they've been touring the islands this week, so I'm kind of treating this like a little bit of a vacation. So I'm not in love with Vandy, but at least they've got a bunch of guys who are back. The coach, Clark Lee, I thought actually did a pretty good job last year considering what he was up against. And Hawaii's starting from scratch. You mentioned the problems that they had under Graham. That was a disastrous regime. Timmy Chang is the former Hawaii quarterback, really good player. And here's the thing, what I think will happen, and it's just a guess because I don't have any information. But knowing what Chang did when he played, I think his team's going to reflect that personality. I think he's going to throw it all over the field, grip it and rip it, have some fun. That's what you got to get the fan base back. Well, you do that by playing wide open football, and they got nothing to lose anyway.
Right.
So go out there and have fun and see what happens. So I think Vanderbilt's going to win. They might win in a blowout. It's possible. I would lean maybe to the over here because I really do think Hawaii is going to make a statement that we're going to be playing exciting football this year. We might not win a lot, but buy a ticket because you're going to have a good time at the stands. So I'm leaning the over in that game. I think you might get a high-scoring game.
That's a good point there. This is how I'm looking at it, Dave. Now, I remember the Vandy's, they've been trash. They're still an SEC team, but they're trash. I remember them barely beating UConn. They lost their first game of the year last year as well. I believe it was some little small school. They were laying like 21 points. You can't lose those type of games, especially when you're laying 21. Hopefully, in theory, the coach says, look, we lost our first game last year. You better effing win this or whatever. But the one thing that was about Vanderbilt, they always had a good secondary, good cornerbacks, right? They weren't too bad against the pass. Obviously, playing against SEC teams all year, you got to have something that you're good at. They were good at the secondary. I feel like that's the main thing that Hawaii want to do is pass all over the place. So, and on the offensive side, Vandy, a lot bigger guys. They should be able to run the ball pretty effective, in my opinion. So, still should bowl well for the over. But I just feel like this is one that Vanderbilt, well, it's really a fade of Hawaii. I feel like that's why I agree with the money. I feel like they're fading Hawaii. We're not sure what they're going to look like, but when you have an overhaul like that and you're trying to break in a new system with new players, it's going to take some time to get to it. So even if he wants to chuck the ball around the field, what if he doesn't necessarily have the receivers or, you know what I'm saying, the chemistry with the quarterback and the receivers to get there? Going up against a bit taller cornerbacks as well. So I understand the Vandy love in this one. I'd lean to Vandy this one. Again, this number is starting to get a little out of whack. You could have got it even below a touchdown, but I do agree where the money's going. I do believe that Hawaii will struggle out of the gate as well here, Dave. And I like that look on the total, my brother. Anything else on this? I had just one more game I wanted to pick your brain about. Just one more, guys.
You can do as many as you want.
No, we're not doing all. Just one more day. This one is interesting to me, right? Because this one we have the favorite. I know New Mexico State isn't anything to write home about, but we have the favorite here, Nevada, that's laying points, and they're on the road. They're coming off a really good year. I believe they had the same quarterback, but basically everybody else left. A total rebuild for Nevada.
Going from Nevada, that's Carson Strong. He's in the NFL now.
Yeah, you're right. I feel like it's a high turnover for Nevada. They're on the road, first game of the season. I think they could possibly lose this game outright. I put a little sum on New Mexico plus the 9. It's starting to get hit down to 8, even a 7.5 at bookmaker. This line has been moving ever since 14.5. Dave, what do you think?
I didn't have the balls to bet New Mexico State. I like that coach Jerry Kill, who was at Northern Illinois and worked wonders there.
Mm-hmm.
Then he was at Minnesota and he had health problems. He's back in it, and I mean they're a terrible program, but he's a good coach. Nevada had the worst offseason of any team in the country. Their coach left for a much higher paying job in the same conference at Colorado State. He took some assistants with him. They got bludgeoned in the transfer portal. They had, I think, only 6 returning starters from last year's team, and 2 of those guys got hurt, including Prost, who's their offensive lineman, who's probably the best player on the team. He might miss the whole season. It's just a train wreck. And this might be the first year, I can't even remember the last time I said this, UNLV might have a better football team than Reno. They are way down this year. So I bet under 4.5 wins on Nevada. The funny thing is they could start 3-0 because they've got a soft schedule early on. But they might not win after that. And if they lose any of these first 3 games, that under 4.5 is gold. So I will not be on Nevada, I can tell you that, probably at any point this season. And I don't have any good argument about going against them, even right here. I think Mexico State might be able to compete with them.
Right. I think it's one of those things that obviously they have a new coach as well, but there's only one way to go up with teams. And that's up. So it's one of those, he could come in, fire the team up. They're at the house, home dog. I just feel like it's one of those kind of spot plays, but you are losing the value. And last up, Coke, I don't want to take too much of your time, but UConn at Utah State. We got another one where Utah State, and I believe, I'm pretty sure they have Alabama the next week as well. So you kind of get the look ahead spot. They're giving up a ton of points. UConn kind of starting to rebuild the program. They tried to end the year with a little bit something. I feel like that's a boatload of points with a possible look ahead spot. That's how I look at it, man.
I wouldn't think Utah State's going to show much of their offense here.
Right.
Not that they've got any chance next week. I mean, they're going to get killed. But you don't want to put too much stuff on film to make it even easier for the power team. I'd like to take Connecticut. The one problem is, anytime I hear Jim Mora's name, the only thing that goes to my mind is his dad with the playoffs. And let's just say the son he doesn't have a great resume as far as coaching goes, but it can't be worse than what they had. And it's so many points. Maybe you can hang in there.
It's a boatload.
Maybe a first half bet. The problem is, though, the altitude might get them in the second half. Connecticut's they're right there as far as the worst programs in the country are concerned. But it could be a very disinterested home team here. And they're breaking in some new pieces as well. So maybe UConn can do enough to stay within that gigantic spread.
Hey, that's the way I look at the games, Dave. See, you tell me you got Alabama on deck, and you think you're finna run up the score 30 points. I don't see it, man. But I'm with you. That's a good point. Maybe the first half with UConn. I feel like that's one of those spot plays, right? That's how I kind of try to simplify things. They could get blown out of the water by 35-42. You see what I'm saying? It easily could happen, but they could also barely win by 7 or 14 points and clear look ahead spot. You got to worry, like, these aren't still young kids. They even though they're going to get smacked, they're going to get up for Alabama, and they're probably going to let down for this one. That's how I
mean, if you're in Utah State, I'm sure you're going to get fired up for your conference games because they're the defending champions in conference in the Mountain West Conference, so they're going to be excited about those games.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Alabama is still like their Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I mean, if you could go there and just compete with Alabama, that'd be sensational. And you got to wonder if they're going to be a little overconfident against their Connecticut team. I mean, hopefully the Utah State staff did not show them any game film from Connecticut from last year, because then they'd really be overconfident. They'd be better off showing them game film from the UConn women's or men's basketball team and say, hey, the football team could be just that good, and hope the guys buy it.
Yeah, and I say facing a terrible team, that's all the more why it could be a letdown. But let's get out of here, Dave. Just real quick, out of the 3 games that we talked to, or the last 2, if there's anything that you'd like to give a suggestion on, or anything, it could be total, anything you closing thoughts, Dave, and then we'll let them know about the special promo code we have for you guys.
Let me give you one for next week, because it's a big game. It's the last game of the week. It's Clemson at Georgia Tech, and the line's going up a little bit. It was 19. I think it's 21 and a half now. But I like this Clemson team. Clemson had a rough year last year. Their offense was just no good. The quarterback play was terrible. Defense had to spend way too much on the team, way too much time on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was pretty obvious early on they weren't going to be back in the playoffs. So I think that it was just one of those years mentally for Clemson. I think they're going to be really excited to take the field this year. Their running game looks to be really good. The quarterback play might still be a little shaky, but the defense is going to be great again. And I think Clemson's excited. Georgia Tech is another team that did not do well in the transfer department. I think they weren't good to begin with, and I think they're going to be down from last year. And I don't think they've got much of a home field advantage. National TV spotlight, it's a solo game all by itself to end the weekend. I think Clemson goes out and makes a big statement here, and I think they can win the game by 30. So I laid the points with Clemson in that game. I think it's a good bet.
I like that, guys. If you didn't know, man, Dave is that guy, man. Dave Cokin, the college football legend, man. I'm telling you, he's over there on Wager Talk. He posts free picks on there. So let me just tell you about Wager Talk. We got a lot of good shit going over there, man. I'm telling you about the Wager Talk odds screen. You can literally compare all the lines, guys. It's really important with football. There's one game that has 8.5, 9s, and 7.5. If you like the favorite, you need to get the lowest line. If you like the dog, get its most points, man. It doesn't matter. You'll be able to tell the difference over time. So go check out the Wager Talk odds screen. What are you gonna say, Dave?
I want to mention something else. Because of the way they've got it set up, you can see where numbers are at the sharper books, which would be Westgate. Circa's a pretty sharp book. DraftKings is more of a square book.
Right.
I'm not knocking them, but they have more of a public action. And if you can find games where you might see a line differential, where the sharper stores are different, carrying a different number than the more public store, which is DraftKings, that's something you can take advantage of in terms of isolating where you might get the best value.
That's facts right there. I'm glad you said that. Bookmaker is also another sharp book that you want to look at as well. Bookmaker really, I see them moving stuff before anybody, guys. So we're just trying to help, guys. We're here breaking you guys off with info, man. But we have a special promo code. If you would like to get one of Dave's packages over there at College Football, Cokin 10, guys. COKIN 10. It'll get you $10 off his college football package. This guy makes money, man. I believe he's number one all time in college football at Wager Talk, man. So, and he also posts free picks as well. Go check out his page, man. Use that promo code for $10 off the package. Get the whole year, man. And we're gonna make some money this year for sure. I'll try to have him back on the show as much as I can. Nothing official for me on college football, guys. Just getting my feet wet. Like I say, I think New Mexico State is worth a look. It's basically a fade of Nevada. UConn worth a look. It's a fade of Utah State. And I like that Wyoming team total under. It could be a slower type of game, but I don't see Wyoming getting past 14 points in that game. Dave, you got anything else?
I have a question for you.
Okay.
What impact does the Chet Holmgren injury have? Do you think he's going to be kind of a fragile guy because he's not exactly built like Arnold Schwarzenegger? And how do you think that impacts that team this season?
It impacts them huge, right? They tanked just to get Holmgren, and they need a center. That's who was going to be their starting center. So they're right back in the position they were last year. A bunch of small guards, right? They can score the ball, but they don't really have any paint defense. So there's going to be a lot of overs because they can't defend the paint, and they can score the ball. So they're going to be covering some spreads, but they're really in the same position as last year, Dave. Towards the end of the year, they'll probably start sitting their guys and tank once again, so they'll get another top draft pick. They're basically in the same position, but there's still going to be money to be made with him in certain situations. But yeah, he has to pack on some pounds, and I said that way before. Even if he made it to the season, he was probably, I mean, I hate to be that way, but he wasn't going to last through halfway the season. He's just way too fragile.
Yeah, he just looks like a stick out there.
Yeah.
That guy needs to drink some beer and eat some pasta.
Eat some hot wings or something, Dave. Come on, man. You got to do something. No, man, I had a great time, Dave. We have to do this again, Ace. I love talking college football with you. I'm trying to become sharper and trying to become better at this as well, so I can basically do all sports. As you guys know, I do basketball. I will be doing a WNBA show with Ski Profit tomorrow, but I want to get this college football thing going, and we're doing NFL as well, guys. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your time, Dave. I appreciate everybody's time in the chat as well. Let's get some cash, man. We will win. Go check out Dave on Wager Talk right now. Cokin 10 will get you $10 off any college football package. He also posts free picks as well. He's on Clemson for week 1. I'm riding with him as well, man. Let's get some cash. Go follow him on Twitter as well at Dave Cokin. You can follow me as well at J Money's Money. Go follow that. Go check out that Wager Talk odds screen right now, guys. You will not be disappointed. That's the show today. We're out. We will win. Until next time.